I wanted to go to something that just happened before the broadcast, and that is one of the hostages who was released speaking. Hamas has released 2 Israeli civilians held hostage in Gaza. On Monday, a Hamas spokesperson said 79-year-old Nurit Cooper and 85-year-old Yocheved Lifshitz had been let go for humanitarian reasons. Hamas shared video showing armed fighters releasing the elderly hostages to Red Cross officials. Just before the video ends, Yocheved Lifshitz reaches back to shake the hand of one of her captors, saying shalom, the Hebrew word for peace. Earlier today, Yocheved Lifshitz spoke to reporters in Tel Aviv. She describes the scene where she was kidnapped. She was very critical of the Israeli government, saying that the Hamas had released fire balloons, as she described it, that the fields were burning for weeks before. She was taken on a motorbike with 2 Hamas fighters, then walked for miles through what she called a kind of spider web of underground tunnels. Once in Gaza, Yocheved Lifshitz says her treatment improved. Her daughter Sharon, who flew in from London for her release, translated her remarks to reporters.
My mom is talking about coming there. When they arrived into a large hall in which about 25 hostages were gathered. And after 2 or 3 hours, those hostages, 5 of them, she among them, were taken into a separate room. My mom is saying that they were very friendly towards them and that they took care of them, that they were given the medicine. That they were given medicine and they were treated. One of the men with them had a badly injured from a motorbike accident on the way, and the paramedic was looking after his wounds. He was given medicine and antibiotics. That the people were friendly, that they kept the place very clean.
We were very hurt by the fact that the IDF did not know where were the scapegoats. They've warned us 3 weeks prior with people who came to the road and burned fields, sent incendiary balloons to burn our fields, and the IDF did not address this seriously. Suddenly, on Saturday morning, when everything was quiet, there was a heavy bombardment of the communities, and with that, the masses infiltrated, blew up the expensive fence, opened the gates of the kibbutz and entered in their masses. It was extremely difficult. I keep having those images in my mind. He's asking, why did you shake the hand of the Hamas terrorist in the visual? They were gentle with us. Our needs were supplied.
אמא שלי אומרת שהם התייחסו אליהם בעדינות וסיפקו את כל הצרכים שלהם. My mom is saying that they treat them kindly and provided for them.
That was 85-year-old Yocheved Lifshitz being translated by her daughter Sharon. Yocheved's husband, Oded, is still a hostage. Last week, the legendary Israeli journalist Amira Haas talked about Oded Lifshitz on Democracy Now!
I have no idea how many people, how many of the hostages. Some of them I know their relatives. I know one of them who is 85 years old and a very brave journalist who in Oded Lifshitz, his name, I just realized it. He's 85. He was in the 70s. He exposed the expulsion of Bedouins in the northern of Sinai. He exposed it in a series of articles. I know some people that are relatives of, as I said, of friends of mine.
So that's Mira Haas, the legendary Israeli journalist, talking about Oded Lifshitz. He is still a hostage. His wife, as you can see, Yocheved Lifshitz, was just released. Rami Khoury, I was watching CNN earlier this morning just as this press conference was happening, and the response right out of it, it was the host, Erin Burnett, who is in Israel right now, said clearly she's voicing Hamas talking points. And when Yocheved said that the doctors came every 2 or 3 days and gave them medicine, and if they didn't have the proper medicine, they would get some kind of replacement medicine, she said that proves that Hamas is hoarding medicine because the Palestinians don't have it. Your response to Yocheved Lifshitz, what she said, she is a peace activist in Israel who is one of the hostages just released.
Well, my response to her, but also to you, is first, don't watch CNN in the morning if you want news about the Middle East. That's bad for your health, it's bad for your mind, and it's bad for your intake of serious, accurate news and analysis. There are many other much better sources around the world. Mainstream American TV is a catastrophe in this respect. My reaction to the Yehuda, I think her name is.
Yocheved.
She represents two things to me, and I've spent my whole life in the U.S. and around the world interacting with very, very close Jewish friends who I've known all my life, and people in the Arab world and Europe and everywhere. And my reaction is that she represents probably the essence, I think, of what makes Judaism such a special religion. It's based on ethics, it's based on love, it's based on truth, it's based on respect for God, and it's based on the quest, as God told Moses to tell the Jews to tell the world. It's based on the pursuit of justice. Seek justice and only justice, Moses said. So that all echoes in what she said. She was honest. She was friendly. She said the truth, we assume. I don't think she was, orchestrated or taught to say any of these things. The fight that Hamas has, that we all have, is not with Jewish people. It's with the Zionist movement, which became the State of Israel, which is widely recognized around the world as an apartheid system. The second thing I recognize about her comments is how the Israeli defense system in the south completely collapsed, was totally incompetent. And those towns, those settlements, the kibbutzim in the south, are mostly located on the ruins of Palestinian villages that were destroyed in 1947-48. There was about 500 Palestinian villages that the Jewish fighters, before the declaration of the State of Israel, from late 1947 to May 48, you had militant Jewish groups carrying out terrorism, pogroms, acts of great violence to get the Palestinians out, and it succeeded. About 750,000 Palestinians were driven out of Palestine before the declaration of statehood on May 15, 1948, Israeli statehood. And there was 500 villages, and they were destroyed, and people left, and many of them are where those kibbutzim are in the south. So I think that's another factor that we have to take into consideration, and it raises the question of, where do you make a distinction between ordinary Israelis, people in the reserve forces, people in the active military? The problem is our battle is with the Zionist movement and Israel, which has done what it has done to us, and we're resisting and fighting back. But even in the heat of battle, you get human, decency shown by both sides, because we are both humans and we are decent, but we are also in a state of active, violent warfare that's been going on for almost a century. About a century, because really the fighting in Palestine between Jews and Palestinians started around the late 1920s, is when, at 1929, was the big first clashes in Palestine, and ever since. So it's been almost a century that this war has been going on. So you can't analyze any of this stuff in isolation. You have to look at the deeper context, and at the same time, don't lose sight of the humanity of both the Jewish people and the Palestinian people.